Herald-Times sports editor Chris Korman here, joined by Dustin Dopirak, the Indiana beat writer for our publication website, all we have. Indiana with a big win over Bryant tonight, but a huge loss as well. Maurice Creek, who turns out to be the leading scorer among freshmen in the entire country, was lost with a fractured knee that occurred 15:26 left in the second half. Creek drove near the bucket down there, was fouled, came down on his knee, immediately grabbed it. His teammates came over to see what was the matter, and in one of the better pictures I've ever seen, Chris Howell captured the moment. A difficult picture to look at, but a very emotional and telling photograph at the same time. Three players, Tom Pritchard, Derek Elston, and Riddell Jones, were visibly shocked by what they saw when they looked down at his knee. And he was treated on the floor for a few minutes, very silent in Assembly Hall, as quiet as I've ever heard it, and was eventually put onto a stretcher, which that really sort of told you how serious the injury was. At first they were going to let him sort of limp off the court, and then decided better of it and strapped him to a stretcher. He was wheeled out and appeared to begin crying. Very emotional time for him, obviously. Took his shirt over his face, and just a really difficult moment for everybody involved. Just really sort of obscured the game, which, not that there was much to learn anyway. Bryant was as overmatched a Division I team as I've ever seen in this building.
Yeah.
But that really became the story of the night. What did Tom Crean have to say after the game, Dustin?
Well, obviously, came out and said it's a fractured knee. He doesn't expect him to be back this year. They're going to have surgery tomorrow. Dr. Elfeld's going to take care of him in Indianapolis, and that's pretty much going to be it. The way Crean puts it, it's probably going to be the end of it. And obviously, Tom was very, very emotional, as you would imagine. Just kind of said that just talked about what all Maurice means to this program, how important he is on the court, and also just what he thinks of him as a kid, as a person.
Right.
As he said, he'd been recruiting him since started recruiting him in his sophomore year. Said he watched him play a half of basketball and offered him a scholarship.
And it may have even been before that. Crean, I think he said that he started recruiting at Oxon Hill, and Creek actually played there as a freshman, I think. Mm-hmm. He transferred all 4 years of his high school career, played for different schools. Mm-hmm. Has had an interesting career along the way. Obviously, had to wait a little bit to get cleared at Indiana. Didn't get to join with his I have mail apparently. Did not get to join with his teammates until late in August, and was a little bit behind, and he's always sort of constantly been proving himself, and that's one of the things that I realized when he first committed and I first talked to him. And then we followed him a little bit in the summer, saw him in Louisville, but he's got that little bit of a chip on his shoulder that I'm constantly needing to prove myself, but he also just had something special, and Crean talked about it, and I don't know, I tried to put it into words in my column, don't know how successful I was, but he was just a special player. Not necessarily the most athletic guy, obviously not the strongest guy, not even, you don't look at him and say, okay, he's the best shooter on the floor at all times. He's obviously a very good shooter. But he just had sort of a special it about him.
Yeah, that's exactly what that's exactly the word I was going to use. I mean, there's sometimes when you can tell, and you can't always see it at very first glance. But I mean, when you see a guy in a game and you can just tell that he has that ability to take over basically, and he has the ability to show you somehow, some way that he's the best overall player on the floor, and Maurice has shown that on a couple occasions. Obviously, scored 31 against Kentucky, 29 next night against North Carolina Central. Just had some really big outings so far here as a freshman.
Right,
you can tell that he had that confidence and that ability to just step in and get it done.
It was a vibe that he brought, a mood that he brought, as much as anything. And I really think IU fans were starting to love him. He really made a huge impression this summer at the Louisville event, the Derby Festival. Best players in the country are there. Well, he comes out. I guess it was the skills competition. He's got a IU flag, and he's sort of wearing it as a cape. And he just brought a little something. Obviously, the other freshmen are all great players who did a lot. Jordan Holes, Mr. Basketball in Indiana. Derek Elston, great player. Yeah, these guys have all done stuff, but Creek just had a little something, and I think that's what Crean right now is most worried about replacing. Obviously, you've got to find a way to try to replace Creek's 18 points per game. try to replace the way he spaced the floor.
Yeah.
I think there's no doubt Devin Dumas will step into it.
We'll try to do that.
Well, yeah.
That's kind of the issue there, too.
Sure. He's. As I wrote in my column, I think he'll be more comfortable now. He was clearly trying to force things in the minutes in the limited minutes he got. If he's on the floor a little bit more and knows that he can let it come to him, he'll be a little bit of a better player. He was not a bad player for most of last season. Obviously turnover prone, but that had a lot to do with what else was sort of going on with that team. I think he may actually surprise people and settle in that role. But I think it's the mental part that Crean is most worried about right now with this team heading into the Big Ten season.
Yeah, so he's talked a lot about, he said this, I can't remember exactly how he put it today, but the confidence, I think he said, is not the top of the tent or whatever. It's not holding up the tent, I guess, was what he was getting at this point. And obviously it's not, and you were starting to see that kind of swagger in Maurice. Obviously it's a long way from really having it, really feeling like you're the best player out there. But you were starting to see him feel like he at least belonged. And these other guys, most of these other freshmen are trying to figure out, where they belong, who they are, who are the type of teams that, how successful can they be? I mean, I think that's especially true, I guess, with Christian and Watford and Derek Elston. I've talked a lot about those guys, but, it's a very different situation with them when they're facing guys that are bigger than them. And when they're not, when they are facing guys that they can dominate, I mean, they look like they can take on the world. When they faced on somebody that's bigger than them, you can see them kind of shrink a little bit and say, whoa, this is, I don't match this guy. And, obviously it's different positions, but Maurice, you started to realize, was never starting to have that feeling like, I don't match this guy, I can't play with this level of competition.
Right.
And so that's the one guy they had that could really say that. I mean, I think sometimes you see that maybe from Jeremiah Rivers a little bit, but obviously he does not have all the pieces. He doesn't have all the parts. And Maurice was showing that he had, not only the confidence and mental ability to
the best
feel that way, but he could
of,
do it, basically, that he could match what he thought about himself.
Right. Now, we'll try to find out more about Creek's status tomorrow. As Dustin said, Dr. Offeld, the team surgeon for many years, a former player, will be performing the surgery in Indianapolis. Obviously, a long road of rehab awaits Maurice Creek. We're not totally sure of the extent, or the specifics on the injury, which is exactly what Crean said as he came out. He literally just said, "I don't know exactly what's going on there." So it's could
but he
be
did say that's probably it.
Yeah, but so it could be.
It could be anything. I mean, Tom Crean's not a doctor.
Sure. It could be. It seems most likely to be the patella, the kneecap. It's the most educated guess right now.
Right.
So hopefully we'll have more from that. His parents are being flown in. His parents live in suburban, right outside D.C., Oxon Hill, Maryland area. They're being flown in to be with him tomorrow. Obviously, his teammates were shaken. They went right into the training room and had a prayer, I guess, right after the game together.
Yeah.
Sort of gathered around Maurice to offer him support. So, Indiana basketball, what it's been through the last couple of years, and this is just sort of another little, it's another twist in the story. Kind of anxious to see where it goes, how this group reacts, how Tom Crean reacts to obviously some more stress in his rebuilding project. And like we said, there'll be a quick turnaround Thursday game against Michigan.
And this is when it gets really tough.
A noon game, and then you're just like that. You fly into the Big Ten schedule, and it's tough games every couple days. So thanks for joining us. Like I said, we'll have whatever news we can get tomorrow. We'll see you on the Hoosier Scoop. Thanks.